Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be tackling a question that I think is probably on a lot of your minds. Can anyone achieve financial freedom even if you're starting from scratch?
That's a great question.
To help us answer that, we are diving into Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover and his famous 7 baby steps.
Yeah. What I think makes Ramsey's approach so interesting is that it's not just about numbers and spreadsheets. It's really about changing your mindset around money, building your habits, and gaining a sense of control over your finances.
Okay, so let's break down these baby steps.
Let's do it.
The first one is to build a starter emergency fund of $1,000. For someone who's maybe used to living paycheck to paycheck, even that small amount can feel like a huge hurdle.
Right.
So why is this step so important?
Well, just imagine constantly worrying about making ends meet, feeling like you're one unexpected expense away from disaster. That stress can be really paralyzing,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
This first step is about breaking that cycle, proving to yourself that you can save, and starting to build that all-important feeling of financial security.
So it's not just about the money itself, it's really more about the psychological shift that it represents.
Exactly, yeah. It's like taking that first step towards a different kind of financial life.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so you've got your $1,000, you're feeling a little bit more confident. What's next?
Next comes baby step 2, where we're tackling the debt monster head-on with the debt snowball method. This is where Ramsey really gets people fired up.
I've heard about this method. You basically list all your debts from smallest to largest, regardless of the interest rates, and then you just focus all your energy on paying off that smallest debt first, right?
You got it. It might seem a little counterintuitive to ignore those high-interest debts, but Ramsey's approach is all about building momentum and creating those quick wins that keep you motivated. Just imagine the feeling of completely wiping out that first debt, no matter how small it is. It gives you this incredible sense of accomplishment that just fuels you to tackle the next
This
one.
is like that snowball analogy, right?
Yeah.
Gathering speed and power as it rolls downhill. But let's be real. Paying off debt, especially if you have a lot of it, requires serious commitment and sacrifice.
Absolutely. It might mean cutting back on expenses, finding creative ways to boost your income, maybe even making some tough sacrifices. But Ramsey firmly believes that getting out of debt is the most crucial step towards achieving true financial freedom.
Okay, you've paid off that first debt, you're feeling good, you're starting to build some momentum. What does baby step 3 have in store?
Now it's time to beef up that emergency fund. We're talking 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up. This is your financial safety net. It's there to protect you from those unexpected life events that can just throw your finances into a tailspin.
So if I usually spend around, let's say, $3,000 a month, I'd aim to have between $9,000 and $18,000 saved up.
That's right. It might seem like a daunting amount, but remember, you've already paid off some debt by this point, so you should have a little more breathing room in your budget.
This is where it starts to feel really empowering, right? Knowing that you can handle a job loss or a medical emergency without going into debt.
Exactly, yeah. It's about trading that constant worry and anxiety for a sense of peace of mind and security. It's a huge mental shift.
I can see how that would be life-changing.
It really is. And once you reach this point, you're ready for baby step 4, which is where things start to get really exciting.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, we've tackled debt. We've built our safety net. Now it's time to start thinking about the future. Baby step 4 is all about investing for retirement and building long-term wealth.
Now, I have to admit, the world of investing can feel pretty intimidating for someone just starting out. Where do you even begin?
Well, that's where Ramsey's guidance can be incredibly helpful, especially for beginners. He breaks down complex concepts into easy-to-understand terms and offers clear advice on how to get started.
So what's his magic formula for investing success?
He recommends putting aside 15% of your household income towards retirement. He's a big fan of low-cost index funds that track the S&P 500. He believes these funds offer the best balance of growth potential and risk management, especially for someone just starting out. You can think of it as owning a tiny piece of the entire American economy.
Okay, so instead of just sticking my money in a savings account, I'm actually putting it to work for me in the stock market.
Exactly. Yep, you're participating in the growth of the economy over time, building wealth gradually but steadily.
That's a pretty powerful concept. It's like shifting from financial survival mode to actually building a future for yourself.
Precisely. And that brings us to baby step 5, which is all about planning for the future generation, saving for your children's education.
Now, this step might look different for everyone, right? Not everyone has kids, and some might choose alternative paths for their children's education.
Absolutely. If you don't have children, Ramsey suggests adapting this step to other long-term goals, maybe saving for a down payment on a house, helping aging parents, or even investing in your own personal development. The key is to identify those future needs and start putting money aside for them.
It's about being proactive and taking control of your financial destiny,
Mhm.
regardless of your specific circumstances.
That's the core of Ramsey's philosophy. And it leads us to a step that often sparks debate. Baby step 6, paying off your home.
Yeah, I've heard that Ramsey is pretty adamant about becoming mortgage-free as soon as possible.
He is, yeah. He believes that owning your home outright provides a level of financial stability and peace of mind that's hard to beat. Now, this might seem unrealistic, especially in today's housing market.
Yeah, the idea of paying cash for a house feels like a distant dream for a lot of people.
It certainly can be, but even if paying cash isn't feasible, Ramsey encourages making extra payments towards your mortgage whenever possible to chip away at that principal faster.
So it's about prioritizing homeownership and eliminating that debt as quickly as you can, even if it takes time.
Exactly. And finally, we arrive at the pinnacle of Ramsey's plan. Baby step 7, build wealth and give generously. This is where things get really exciting. You've achieved financial freedom, you're debt-free,
Yeah.
and you have a solid financial foundation. Now you can travel, pursue hobbies, focus on the things that bring you joy.
It sounds like reaching the summit after a long and challenging climb.
It is, yeah. But Ramsey also emphasizes the importance of giving back. He believes that true wealth encompasses generosity and making a positive impact on the world. It's about recognizing that financial success is not just about personal gain. It's about using your resources to make a difference.
It's like reaching the top of the mountain and then turning around to help others make the climb.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're all in this together and that financial success is more meaningful when it's shared.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground here. It's amazing to see how each of these baby steps builds upon the last, creating this clear path towards financial freedom. But I'm curious, what stands out to you as maybe the most powerful aspect of Ramsey's approach?
I think it's his emphasis on changing your mindset. It's not just about following a set of rules, it's about adopting a new way of thinking about money, shifting from a scarcity mindset to one of abundance and possibility.
It's about believing that financial freedom is achievable even if you're starting from a place of debt and uncertainty.
Exactly. It's about taking control of your finances and shaping your own financial destiny, and that's a message that resonates with people from all walks of life.
Incredibly empowering. Well, we've laid out the foundation of Ramsey's 7 baby steps, and it's clear that his approach offers the structured path towards financial freedom. But are there any potential downsides or criticisms of this method?
There are, and we'll delve into those in part 2 of our deep dive. We'll explore some of the criticisms of Ramsey's approach, particularly his strict stance on debt and his focus on mutual funds for investing. We'll also discuss alternative perspectives and strategies that might be a better fit for certain individuals and situations.
Sounds like we have a lot more to unpack. We'll be right back after a short break.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. We just finished exploring his 7 baby steps, and honestly, his emphasis on taking control and building that financial foundation is really resonating with me.
Yeah, it's a powerful message, isn't it? I think that feeling of empowerment is really what draws so many people to Ramsey's approach.
Yeah.
But like we mentioned before, it's not without its critics.
Right. You said we would kind of dig into some of the potential downsides or criticisms of his method.
Exactly.
I'm curious to hear what those are.
Okay. Well, one of the biggest criticisms is Ramsey's strict no-debt stance. He advocates for avoiding all debt, even things like mortgages and student loans, which some argue can actually be beneficial in certain situations. So what you're saying is that sometimes taking on a little bit of like good debt can actually help you build wealth in the long run?
Exactly. Yeah. Let's take the example of a student loan. If you're pursuing a degree that's in high demand and will significantly increase your earning potential, taking on some debt might be a really smart investment in your future.
It's about weighing the costs and benefits, right? Calculating whether the potential increase in income outweighs the interest you'll pay on the loan.
Precisely. And the same logic can apply to mortgages as well. While Ramsey prefers people to pay cash for their homes, he acknowledges that this isn't always realistic. In those cases, a low-interest mortgage can actually be a good financial move, allowing you to build equity in a valuable asset while keeping your cash flow available for other investments or emergencies.
So it seems like his no-debt philosophy might be a bit too rigid in certain circumstances.
Yeah.
What other criticisms have you come across?
Hmm. Another point of contention is Ramsey's heavy focus on mutual funds for investing. While mutual funds do offer diversification and generally lower risk, they might not always yield the highest returns.
So someone with maybe a higher risk tolerance and a longer time horizon to invest might be leaving money on the table by sticking solely to mutual funds.
That's a possibility, yeah. There are other investment vehicles out there, like individual stocks or real estate, that can offer higher potential returns, though they also come with greater risk as well.
So it's all about finding that balance between risk and reward based on your individual circumstances and financial goals. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that investing always carries some level of risk. There are no guarantees.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Are there any other criticisms worth mentioning?
Some people find Ramsey's emphasis on sacrifice and frugality to be a bit extreme. They argue that his approach can sometimes feel overly restrictive and doesn't leave much room for, enjoying life along the way.
It's like putting your life on hold until you achieve financial freedom.
Right, yeah. I think it's important to find a balance. Financial stability is crucial, but so is living a fulfilling life in the present. You don't want to delay all your enjoyment for some distant future point that may never arrive.
So it seems like Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, while it offers this solid framework, isn't like a foolproof system. You really have to be critical, adapt the principles to your own situation, and perhaps even incorporate ideas from other financial experts.
Absolutely. The world of personal finance is so vast and ever evolving. There are countless resources and perspectives available, and it's really up to each individual to find what resonates with them and helps them achieve their financial aspirations.
It's like creating your own personalized financial roadmap, drawing inspiration from different sources, but tailoring it to your specific needs and goals.
Precisely. It's about empowering yourself with knowledge and making informed decisions that align with your values.
Okay, so we've explored some of the potential drawbacks of Ramsey's approach. What are some alternative perspectives or strategies that listeners might want to consider?
Well, one alternative perspective is to embrace a more balanced approach to debt. Instead of viewing all debt as inherently bad, you could differentiate between good debt and bad debt.
Okay, so good debt would be things like student loans for a valuable degree or a mortgage on a property that's likely to appreciate in value.
Exactly. Bad debt would be things like high interest credit card debt or loans for depreciating assets like cars.
Got it. So it makes sense to prioritize paying off that bad debt as quickly as possible while strategically managing the good debt.
Right. Another alternative perspective is to diversify your investment portfolio beyond just mutual funds. As we discussed earlier, while mutual funds are generally considered lower risk, they might not always provide the highest returns.
So exploring other investment options like individual stocks, bonds, or real estate could potentially accelerate wealth building, especially for those comfortable with taking on more risk.
Yes, but remember, higher returns usually come with higher risk as well. It's crucial to do your research, understand your risk tolerance, and perhaps consult with a financial advisor before making any major investment decisions.
Sounds like there's no one right answer when it comes to personal finance. It's about finding what works best for you and your individual circumstances.
Exactly. What works for one person might not work for another. It's all about tailoring your approach to your specific goals, values, and risk tolerance.
We've covered a lot of ground today, exploring both the strengths and weaknesses of Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. And we also touch upon some alternative perspectives and strategies that listeners might find helpful. But I'm curious, what's the biggest takeaway you want our listeners to leave with today?
I think the most important message is that financial empowerment is within everyone's reach. It's not about blindly following someone else's plan, but about taking the time to understand your own financial situation, set clear goals, and make informed decisions that align with your values.
It's about taking ownership of your financial journey
Yeah.
and creating a future that feels both secure and fulfilling.
Exactly. And that's a journey worth embarking on no matter where you are on the financial spectrum.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been unpacking Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover and exploring both the benefits and the potential drawbacks of his 7 baby steps approach.
Yeah, it's been a journey, hasn't it? We've covered so much, from building that initial emergency fund to tackling debt, investing for the future, and even the importance of giving back.
There's just so much to learn about personal finance, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all the different opinions and strategies out there.
It's true. It's true. The world of personal finance can feel like a maze sometimes. conflicting advice coming from every direction.
Exactly. So as we wrap up our deep dive today, I'm wondering if you could leave our listeners with maybe some key takeaways or some guiding principles to help them kind of navigate their own financial journey.
Sure. I think the most important thing to remember is that personal finance is just that. Personal. There's no one size fits all solution.
Yeah.
What works for one person might not work for another.
So it's not about blindly following someone else's plan, but it's about finding what resonates with you in your individual circumstances.
Exactly. It's about understanding your values, your goals, and your risk tolerance. And it's about being willing to experiment, to learn, and to adjust your course as needed.
It's like creating your own personalized financial roadmap, drawing inspiration from different sources, but ultimately charting your own path.
I love that analogy. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be bumps along the way, but the key is to stay focused on your goals and keep moving forward.
And to celebrate those wins along the way, right?
Yes.
Whether it's paying off a small debt or reaching a savings milestone or finally investing in that dream project that you've been putting off.
Absolutely. It's about finding joy in the process and recognizing that financial well-being is about more than just the numbers. It's about creating a life that feels both secure and fulfilling.
So as we conclude our deep dive into Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, I kind of want to shift our focus inward for a moment. Imagine yourself a year from now having taken steps towards greater financial empowerment. What does that look like for you? What changes have you made? How do you feel?
Hmm. Take a moment and just envision that future self. What actions can you take today to start bridging the gap between where you are now and where you want to be?
What small steps can you take today to start moving in that direction? Maybe it's setting up a budget, maybe it's automating your savings, or maybe it's finally having that conversation about finances with your partner or your spouse.
Even small actions taken consistently can lead to significant results over time.
It's about taking ownership of your financial journey and shaping a future that aligns with your dreams and aspirations.
Exactly. It's about believing that financial well-being is within your reach and taking those first steps towards making it a reality.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. We hope it sparked some new ideas and inspired you to take a more active role in shaping your financial future. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.